In this week's episode, we are discussing some of the critical ways in which you need to protect your business as a freelancer.
Welcome back to JFDI with the Two Lauras. This is our weekly podcast where we share all sorts of things relating to working as a freelance social media marketer, from content ideas to strategies to how to make more money to how to get rid of awful clients. And on the episode today, we're talking about how you can protect your business. This is really, really important. Please pay attention to this. You will not regret it. Before we get into it, if you do have any questions about any of this, come and chat with us on Instagram. We're always hanging out on there. You can find us at the Two Lauras. And if you do enjoy this episode, we would love it if you would leave us a review. That helps us to know that you are enjoying the podcast. And it also helps the podcast platforms to serve our podcast to more people, which we would be eternally grateful for. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. We're going to talk about a few different ways to protect your business. All of them are equally as important.
None of them are optional either.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay, which one do you want to go with?
Let's go with insurance.
Okay.
Now, don't switch off.
We're going to try not to make it boring.
Yeah. It frightens me, the amount of businesses that do not have insurance. I always feel like you have to have it. You know, like you have to have a house insurance when you have a mortgage.
Yeah.
I feel like if you have a
You have
business,
to have car insurance if you're driving.
Yeah, this isn't optional, but yet people don't seem to do it. And not the whole, like obviously, you know, hopefully most people and social media managers in our world and in our membership, hopefully you've all got insurance. But it is there to protect you. And actually, I don't think is particularly expensive, really, for how much it can help you in tricky situations.
Yeah. I know one of our members told us, I think they paid like $5 a month, something like that. It was really, really cheap.
Yeah,
well worth
nice.
it.
And that's not to say that yours is going to be £5 a month, because it
Ours
will depend.
definitely isn't.
No, it definitely isn't. But it depends on the size of your business. It depends on what you want cover for. It depends on what you're doing. You know, there's lots of things that you need to kind of bear in mind. And any good insurance company, broker, or going direct will be able to advise you. You know, you have to think about things like cyber security.
Yeah.
Is that the right term?
Yeah.
So whereas other people might feel like that's not worth their insurance, I personally I do, but so yes, some people might be able to get it for a £5. Some people might pay more. If you've got employees, it will be more. But on the whole, I don't know many people who are spending more than I think 20 quid or 50 quid max, surely.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons that people don't get it is because they don't realise the benefits of being insured. And like you just said about I was going to totally say cyber stalking. It's not that. Cyber security, like there's so many different things that you can be protected with your insurance. Like you might want to be protected in case a client doesn't pay you. You can be protected if you accidentally make a mistake on a client's content or client's account. You want to make sure that you are protected with that in case they sue you.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different things.
You could also be, if you're someone who goes out delivering, I don't know, a B-roll workshop where you're out on the local hills with a group of business owners helping them to record, and
someone falls off a cliff.
Yeah. But if they've paid you and in that they trip over something and you need to have, is it public liability for that?
No, it's in indemnity. I don't know.
Ah, well, clearly
public liability, one of the two. I don't know. I'm not an insurance person.
Don't take your insurance nitty gritty from us, because that's not what we are. But
also, it doesn't have to be that dramatic that you are doing something by a cliff. It could be that you're delivering something in a perfectly amazing hotel and someone trips over a bit of carpet. You know.
Yeah, although that's normally covered by the hotel.
Yeah, but you know.
But check.
Yeah.
But insurance, like our insurance has been incredible for us for various reasons over the years, and we've tapped into it. And then you can have a year where you don't. It's like everything, isn't it? With insurance, you have a year go by, and then renewal comes, and you're like, oh. But then the next year we utilise it all the time.
You rinse it.
Yeah. And it's been brilliant for us. So whether it be just because you want something to cover devices because your laptop breaks, when you accidentally sit on it or whatever it may be, something legally happens in your business. Like for us, it's been brilliant. And your insurance just sometimes immediately takes hold of whatever's going on and just lifts that kind of stress from you. So
yeah, and it doesn't just relieve the financial impact of things. It literally will take the stress off you because there's things that you don't have to deal with that someone else would deal with for you, which is great when you're busy running a business and you don't want to be thinking about other things.
Yeah. So it's not optional, but there are
legally
huge benefits.
It is optional, but don't make it optional.
Yeah. Don't regret it. When something then happens and you go, well, my business is going to fold because I cannot afford to move on, or so don't.
You literally could lose your house or whatever if somebody sues you and you haven't got insurance.
Yeah, especially if you're not a limited company, if you're a sole trader. Yeah,
like crazy.
Yeah. So don't. I know insurance. I know people don't like paying for insurance. Like I know that. But it's a business expense. At the end of the day, you're not paying for it. Your clients essentially are paying for your insurance because any good social media manager has considered all of their outgoings when they've put together their pricing for their clients. So in theory, you're not paying for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's a taxable expense as well. So it keeps your tax bill down. It's like there are so many benefits to having insurance. I don't know why anyone would not do it.
No. So please, if you don't have it, when you finish listening to this, obviously finish the podcast first. And then, go and grab some.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. I think we've hammered that point home.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Number 2 is a bit more beefy, I think.
It is a beefy one.
Yeah. And I think it's something that people possibly don't even have on their radar.
Don't think it applies to them.
Yeah. And let me just tell you now that before we get into what this is, if you work in any sort of social media marketing, any kind of marketing, whether you do ads, organic, email marketing, like anything like that, if you're dealing with clients, you're dealing with their data, you're dealing with your own data, all of that stuff, this is relevant to you. And we put in an overarching banner on this of data. You need to...
Or data protection, if we want to make it a little bit more specific.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a few different things that you need to consider. The first one,
there probably is a caveat to this, that there will be variations depending on where you are in the world, because we know that this is an international podcast.
Yeah.
So sorry if you were about to say that. I thought you were going to go straight in.
I was going to go straight in and say the first one is to register with the ICO if you're in the UK.
Okay, well, there you go.
If you're not in the UK, there may be another version of this. What does ICO stand for?
Information Commission Office. Information Commission's Office. Information Commissioner's Office. Something like that. Information Commission Office.
Yeah. Anyway, the ICO. Go and Google ICO. And you have to register with them. It's a legal requirement that you have to register with them. They have a test on their website to see whether you have to register with them. Spoiler alert, you will have to register.
Yeah.
That's it.
And pay.
And and I think, isn't it 40 quid or 50 quid?
40 quid. 40 quid a year. It's
that's what I meant, sorry.
Yeah, it's well, unless you're listening to this and you're part of a huge business, which I suspect you're not. But if you're a freelancer, tiny agency, it's 40 quid, unless they change that anytime soon. And so totally affordable.
Yeah. And it literally is a legal requirement. If you don't do it, you can get found out. And
you're a criminal.
You are a criminal. And it's quite annoying paying that 40 quid because you're like, well, what am I actually getting? You're getting nothing.
Yeah, you get nothing.
You're literally getting nothing for it, but you have to do it. It's like the best
business ever. Just give me 40 quid.
Yeah, give me 40 quid.
Every business in the UK. Like, honestly, genius business plan.
Totally. I mean, they do stuff. It's just that not really beneficial for most freelancers. But yeah, and they've got loads of information on their website about like data protection and all of that stuff. But it is about protecting the data. And you might think, but that's fine. But I just create content. Well, yeah, maybe you do. But you also collect your client's email address because you're emailing them.
Yeah.
You've probably got their bank details where they've paid you.
Yeah.
You may be having conversations with them. All of that stuff is data. If you're in their DMs answering questions, that's dealing with other people's data. So it's just so much data that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
If you've got a pixel on your website or Google Analytics tracking, data. It's all data. So yeah, you are dealing with data.
And I always think it's really interesting because when you think of the word data, and maybe this is my brain, and maybe you being a words person would be different, but I think of data, I think of numbers.
Oh yeah.
And which I can understand why people will go, well, hang on, I don't deal with numbers. Like that's not, but it's like just
information.
You know, if a customer emails you or client emails you and you have that conversation, you are then on email, or DMs, you are then holding their data.
Yeah.
You have their name, you have their email address, you may have more information. But as soon as that has happened, you are holding their data.
Yeah, your class is a data processor.
Yeah.
Because you are processing it in a way. Yeah, which is...
And the same will apply in the fact that your clients, you have access to your clients' data.
Mm-hmm.
Because you potentially have their customers put in the DMs and you're replying to those DMs. So you have access to your clients' customers' data.
Yeah.
So you will need, as part of working with a client, to have seen and signed probably their data processing agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you need to be on the same page with your clients so that you know how you are meant to handle their data.
Yeah,
like,
so
what
like,
are you
for example,
allowed to do?
It might say you cannot upload customer comments into ChatGPT because the custom comments are data. So it could be anything like that. And there will be data processing agreements with every single tool that you use online. The social media platforms will have them in their terms. Like if you're using, I don't know, CapCut, Edits, all of those sorts of things, they will be in there. Airtable, Trello. All of those people will have a data processing agreement that by signing up to them, you have agreed to. You've agreed to whatever that they say they're going to do with your data. And your clients will be the same.
Yeah. So it's important stuff, as more so now than ever, because people are more, savvy about their data and what they are prepared to. Yeah, we have emails where people have signed up. Well, I think probably one. This has ever happened, but where we've had someone sign up to our lead magnets, then they've emailed us the next day saying, "Can you remove all of your my data from your systems?" Which is fine. And we're obviously happy to do that. People are well within their rights to do that, and as they would be for you too. So you just have to be aware of that and how you handle these situations, and have that you are understanding that you are processing people's data. So you need to know about your data processing agreements with your clients. You also need to be registered with the ICA. There's loads of information on the ICA's website, like Laura said. And as that caveat, there may well be equivalents to this wherever you are in the world. So do kind of do a little bit of due diligence there and have a bit of research.
There's some other things that you're going to need to do. And I will caveat this by saying, we're in the UK, so we are under UK GDPR. If you're in the EU, you're under GDPR. And if you are elsewhere in the world, you're under whatever, kind of legal
equivalent,
equivalent there is. If you want to make sure that you are protected and you are protecting data of everybody, follow the GDPR, because that is the strongest one across the whole world. So if you are compliant with GDPR, even if you're in America, Canada, Australia, you know that you're covered, because that is literally the strictest one currently. That may change in the future. And so the GDPR requires you to have various things in place. We won't go through all of them because it's boring as hell. But there are two things that you must have on your website. The first one is a privacy policy, so that people know what you do with their data and they understand that. So that's like your data processing agreement and all of that stuff about what happens with their data and how they can unsubscribe, for example. The second one, and this is the one that so many people don't know they need or they get wrong, and that is a cookie banner on your website. So if somebody lands on your website, particularly if you're using any sort of tracking, and you would have seen this on any website you've been on, go on Marks Spencer's or whatever, a pop-up will come up and it will say, "Do you accept cookies?" And if you say yes, great, carry on with your day. If you say no, that cookie banner behind the scenes should do some work to stop you from being tracked.
Some techie magic.
techie magic, exactly, and it'll stop you from being tracked. Now, some sites like this, so there's like media sites, will make you pay to turn that off, and that is absolutely fine because you can just choose not to be on the website, or you can choose to pay to have that tracking off. But your cookie banner has to do the work for them. It cannot say that it can't automatically assume that they accept the tracking, and it can't not give them an option to opt out. So they either agree to it, they can change it, or they can opt out entirely, whether that's free or paid.
And that's we were talking about this quite recently. Like, there's so many cookie banners which are not compliant because they have to have accept, decline, or words to that effect, not accept, or settings, or there has to be an equal balance of being able to accept as there is to decline. If you have to press 2 buttons to accept, you have to press 2 buttons to decline. Or so if you've got an accept and then you don't have a decline, then that is not a compliant cookie banner. And obviously not having one at all is even worse. And I tell you now, when I go on, especially marketers, if I go on marketers' websites and they do not have a banner at all, then like they can't, it's wrong. And you like, we all need to be good at this. This is what we do. This is what makes us stand out. This is what makes us be the best. It's because we're compliant legally. This is the things that build trust. If your client is aware of all this, which the chances are they will be, because they'll have had to have gone through it with their own businesses, if when they land on your website you don't have these simple things in place, they might be like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. You know, these little things can give impressions to people, and you want always to be giving a positive impression.
Yeah.
So definitely cookie banner that is compliant and a privacy policy and registered with the ICO.
When you're working with clients, if you notice that they don't have them, tell them to put them on, because they will be appreciative of that. And then you know that they are GDPR compliant. They can have the reassurance that they are. And particularly if you're running ads, for example, that are taking people straight over to a website, you know that everything's working properly.
Yeah. And you can be reported to the ICO if you do not have a compliant cookie banner.
Yeah. And their fines are massive.
Yeah, yeah. And
don't you get a criminal record too? If you do this for something that's wrong?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I don't know, but if there are people out there who are very, very, very strict on data, and and I'm talking about just normal, like day-to-day people, they are very aware of when something's right, when something's wrong, because they are very protective of their own data, which is people are well within their rights to do that. So people can report you to the ICO. Whether the ICO has capacity to deal with all of those complaints, I don't know. Maybe they have a threshold.
They're too busy processing their £40 payments.
Yeah, maybe they have a threshold and go like, well, look, if this website has X number, then we investigate. I don't know the inner workings of the ICO, but I personally don't want to get on the wrong side of them.
Yeah, same.
So these aren't big, expensive things.
No, I think quite simple. I feel like we've probably made this sound a little bit scary. It's not as scary as it sounds.
Very easy to rectify.
It's very easy to rectify. It's literally make sure that you've registered with the ICO, have a cookie banner, have a privacy policy. Yeah. Job done.
Yeah.
Simple. Yeah.
All of this is correct as of June, July 2025. If it changes between recording and this publishing, please don't sue us.
Although we have got insurance. Responsibility.
yeah. We've got
please read our terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Which actually takes us on to the third and final one.
Smooth.
Very nicely. We're really good at these segues, And that one is a legal contract / terms and conditions.
Yeah.
However you want to call it, which again protects you. And sometimes if you've got insurance, but you don't have a legal contract, your insurance isn't valid and it won't help you because you never had a contract in place.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you do have a contract, and don't ask ChatGPT to write it for you, for crying out loud. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, just for the record, is the worst lawyer on the planet.
Yes, it is. Definitely. Like legal contracts aren't... So if you're working with a client and you want to issue them with a contract when you start working with them, which obviously you should be, you just need to invest in one. You invest in one legal contract template that you can use again and again and again. Again, they're not expensive. Now, obviously, if you want to go to a lawyer and have a bespoke one written, then again, you're absolutely well within your rights to do that. But I would absolutely advise going to a lawyer who offers templates, or companies that have got lawyers who are writing them. Like, people often say to us, have you got a contract within the toolkit? And we have people, oh, could you put a contract in the toolkit? No, because we are not lawyers. Now, we could, and we've been approached before about getting one which is white labeled and we sell it on behalf of them. Like, and we don't want to do that. We don't, like, that's not our thing.
It's not our responsibility.
And also, if people have questions about those contracts, we can't legally advise you. So if you're in other courses and memberships that offer, get this legal contract for free, it's been written by a lawyer, I personally would advise everybody to go direct to the lawyer. Get your own template. Make sure you're happy with it. Use one that that you are happy to go and drop them an email if you've got questions, you don't understand something. You don't need to be investing a lot in this, but you do need to invest, and then you can just keep using it, like rinse and repeat. It's like the more clients you take on over a period of time, the more cost effective that contract was. And again, it's taxable, so it keeps your tax bill down. And it what was the other thing I was going to say? It's taxable, business expense. Can't remember.
Well, something really important.
Yeah.
It's to be very clear, this isn't just for long-term like management clients. And this is why I said legal contract / terms and conditions, because quite often if you're selling something where somebody buys on the checkout and they don't have to sign a contract, they still need to agree to terms and conditions. So like if you go on any of our checkouts, there will be terms and conditions there.
And they have to click the button, don't they? They have to
click the button. Although I don't know that that's a legal requirement. I think, and I'm not a lawyer, so this may be wrong, but I think you can either have them tick or say by paying you agree to the terms type of vibes. But obviously check that. It probably depends on where you are in the world. But your terms, again, need to be written by somebody who works in law. But they can be templated no matter what you're selling. All of our terms that we use come from a lawyer, but they are all templates that we use on all of our things. We just tweak the name of the product, and they will have gaps telling us what we need to put in certain spaces, so we know that everything's correct. There's no way we could write our own terms. Can you imagine?
Well, we could, but it probably wouldn't be very legally long
if you were writing them. They'd have so many words in them.
Well, to be fair, most contracts are really long.
Well, yeah, some of them are, yeah.
But you also, with terms and conditions in particular, well, I guess, and contracts, you do just need to check in on them, update them, add things to them as and when things happen. Like, we've updated ours over time with things like the use of Canva, with the use of AI, all of those kind of things we update as regularly as we can. So don't, just, I've got terms and conditions back in 2021, I'll stick that on my checkout. Yeah. Just have a look at it and make sure it's relevant, because things have changed and
how you work may have changed.
Yeah. So do just make sure you take a good glance at everything before you issue it, whether it be to a checkout or to a client.
Yeah. If you don't have a template, by the way, we've got a legal shop on our website. Go to the2lawyers.com/legal, and there are templates on there for the UK, for America, etc. So you can go and grab a template for a legal contract or terms and conditions, depending on what it is you're selling.
But to reiterate, they aren't ours. They are lawyers.
We have not written them. They will take you to the lawyer direct, so you can buy them yourself. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, quick recap then. The 3 things you want to check to make sure that you have protected your business. Insurance. You want to make sure that you know all the data stuff. Make sure you're registered with whoever you need to register with. You've got your compliant website. And then finally, make sure you are protected with a legal contract in terms of conditions, wherever it is you're selling things. And then you'll thank yourself and you can relax knowing that your business is protected and hopefully you'll never need to claim on your insurance.
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
This was probably one of the most boringest topics we've ever had to cover on a podcast.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. If you did stick with us to the end, please let us know.
Yeah, you've won this prize. No, yeah, but I think it was well worth. Like, we've talked about this a lot. We talk about it with our, like, in the toolkit and within our membership, but we felt like it was worth us popping this information on a podcast for people to make sure. Like, some of you might be listening to it again. Yeah, I knew all this, but based on the amount of websites I've been on, based on the amount of websites I've been on the conversations I've had, you know, clearly not everybody does all three. That's for sure. So I hope it was useful. We'll be back next week with something like really sexy and fun.
Let's not make promises we can't keep.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back same time, same place next week. Enjoy. Have a good week.
Bye.